On a night that should have been filled with joy and celebration, Caddy's 21st birthday turned into an unimaginable nightmare. In a luxurious restaurant, surrounded by family and friends, she received a shocking gift. Her father had promised her hand in marriage to Andrew, a super-rich friend, without even consulting her. Under the relentless pressure from her family, Catty was forced to accept Andrew's proposal, feeling like a prisoner in her own life. Desperate and with no way out, her hope was rekindled when she met Lucas, a generous-hearted waiter. With his help, Catty began to plot a daring escape, desperately seeking to break free from this marriage. In a story of love and courage, she fights against the shackles of an imposed destiny, ready to face any challenge to achieve the life she truly desires. Stay with us until the end of the video to find out how this story unfolds. But before we continue, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and like the video. It was a starry, cool night, perfect for celebrating. Catty was radiant in her red silk dress, her heart pounding with excitement and anticipation. After all, it's not every day you turn 21, and her father, always generous, had planned an unforgettable party at one of the city's most exclusive restaurants. The atmosphere was filled with twinkling lights and cheerful laughter from family and friends. Soft music played in the background, and the air was imbued with the delicious aroma of gourmet dishes. Catty, smiling, was surrounded by loved ones, unaware that this night would change her life forever. As the party progressed, Catty's father, an influential businessman, stood up to make a toast. The crowd quieted down, curious about what he had to say. "Today, we celebrate not only my lovely daughter's birthday, but also a new chapter in her life," he announced, his eyes shining with pride and something else, a determination Catty couldn't understand. He then called Andrew to his side. Andrew, a commanding figure with a charming smile and impeccable attire, was a close family friend. He was known for his immense wealth and business success. Catty always saw him as a distant acquaintance, someone she exchanged few words with at social events. "Catty," her father said, addressing her with a smile that didn't reach his eyes, "I'm pleased to announce that you and Andrew are promised in marriage. This is our gift to you." Catty felt the world spin. It was as if the air had been sucked out of the room. She looked around for support or a sign that this was a bad joke, but everyone seemed as surprised as she was, except for Andrew and her father. The words began to jumble in her mind. Promised in marriage? What did that mean? Andrew stepped forward, taking her hand and kissing it softly. "I'm looking forward to our future together," he said, in a tone that sounded more like a contract being sealed than a declaration of love. Still in shock, Catty tried to respond, but her voice wouldn't come out. She wanted to scream, run, do anything, but she was paralyzed. The look in her father's eyes, firm and insistent, made it clear that this was not a choice. It was an imposition. And in that instant, on what should have been the happiest night of her life, Catty felt like a prisoner of a fate she didn't choose. Catty could barely breathe as reality started to solidify around her. The sound of laughter and music seemed distant, muffled by the growing pressure in her chest. When she finally found the strength to speak, her voice came out as a hesitant whisper. "Dad, I can't marry Andrew. I don't even know him well." Her father's face hardened. "Catty, this is not up for discussion. Andrew is a man of great value, and this union will be beneficial for our family. You need to understand the importance of this." Andrew stood by, watching with a confident smile, as if he was already sure of the outcome. Catty looked around, seeking support, but her family and friends avoided her gaze, some looking embarrassed, others indifferent. In the days that followed, Catty tried to argue with her family, again and again. She tried to convince her mother, thinking she would understand better, but found only more resistance. "Dear, you need to think of the greater good. Andrew can provide you with a life anyone would wish for. You'll learn to love him," her mother said in a sweet but unyielding voice. With each attempt to resist, the pressure increased. Her parents, siblings, and even close friends began to insist on the benefits of the marriage, making her feel even more isolated. They argued that Andrew could ensure everyone's financial stability and that rejecting him would be a selfish folly. The situation reached a critical point when Andrew organized a special dinner, just for the two of them. He took her to an even more luxurious restaurant, trying to charm her with gifts and promises of a life of opulence. But to Catty, it all felt like a gilded prison. "Catty, I know this is hard for you, but I want you to know that I'll take care of you," Andrew said, holding her hand across the table. His touch, however, brought no comfort, only a chill down her spine. "I know that in time, you'll see that we can be happy together." Catty pulled her hand back, determined to make her voice heard, even if it was the last time. "Andrew, I can't marry you. This isn't right. It's not fair to me." Andrew's expression changed briefly, a shadow of irritation crossing his face before he regained his composure. "You have a choice, Catty. You can make things easier for everyone, or you can make them much more difficult." Returning home, feeling more trapped than ever, Catty broke down in tears. The feeling of hopelessness was overwhelming, as if she were drowning in a sea of expectations and demands she couldn't meet. In that moment, she realized she needed a plan. She needed a way out. And it was then that her path crossed with someone who could be the key to her freedom. With a heavy heart and tears in her eyes, Catty left her parents' house. She walked aimlessly through the streets, trying to find a solution to her desperate situation. Each step felt like it weighed a ton, and the feeling of being a pawn in a game much larger than herself only increased her anguish. Unknowingly, she ended up back at the restaurant where her birthday was celebrated. The place that once was a setting of happiness now seemed like a place of oppression and sadness. She sat in a discreet corner, trying to gather her thoughts. That's when a young waiter approached her. He had a kind look and a smile that conveyed understanding. "Are you all right, miss?" he asked, his voice gentle. Catty looked at him, surprised by the genuine concern in his tone. "No, I'm not," she replied, unable to contain the truth. "I'm trapped in a situation I can't escape." The waiter, whose name was Lucas, sat down beside her. He didn't need to ask anything more, for Catty, feeling an inexplicable connection, began to pour out everything: the arranged marriage, the pressure from her family, and the fear of a future without love or freedom. Lucas listened attentively, his eyes reflecting a mix of compassion and determination. "That's terrible, Catty. No one should be forced to live like that. Maybe I can help." At first, Catty was skeptical. How could a simple waiter help her out of such a complicated situation? But the sincerity in Lucas's eyes gave her a spark of hope. "I know some people," Lucas began, hesitant. "People who can help you disappear, start a new life far from here. But you need to be willing to trust me and act quickly." Lucas's proposal seemed risky, but to Catty, anything was better than the golden prison Andrew represented. She nodded slowly, the first flame of hope igniting in her heart. "We need to be careful," Lucas continued. "We can't raise any suspicion. I'll help you plan everything, but you must be prepared to leave everything behind." Catty took a deep breath, feeling the gravity of what she was about to do. But the alternative, a life without choice, was unbearable. She looked at Lucas with renewed gratitude and determination. "I'm ready," she said, her voice firm. "Let's do this." And so, an unexpected alliance was formed. In the following days, Catty and Lucas began to outline a plan that would require courage, cunning, and, above all, the determination of a young woman fighting for her freedom. In the days that followed, Catty and Lucas started meeting secretly to plan every detail of the escape. Catty felt both nervous and excited. Lucas, with his life experience and contacts, proved to be an indispensable ally. He knew exactly who to turn to and how to organize everything without raising suspicion. One night, while Catty was in her room, Lucas sent a discreet message. "Everything is ready. Tomorrow night, at the back exit of the restaurant. Catty felt a mix of relief and anxiety. The date was set, and there was no turning back. The next day, Catty acted as normally as possible, disguising her restlessness. It was hard to face her family, especially when Andrew arrived at her house for another dinner. During the meal, Andrew talked about his plans for the future, unaware that Catty was about to ruin all his plans. Finally, night fell. Catty feigned tiredness and retired to her room early. She waited until the house was quiet, her parents and Andrew asleep, before grabbing a backpack she had prepared with some clothes and essential items. With her heart racing, she silently descended the stairs and slipped out the back door. The path to the restaurant seemed longer than ever. When she finally arrived, she found Lucas waiting, his expression determined. He quickly led her to a discreetly parked car. Inside, a middle-aged woman with kind eyes and a comforting smile awaited her. "This is Maria," said Lucas. "She will take you to a safe place." Maria extended her hand and shook Catty's. "We need to leave quickly before anyone notices your absence," she said, with a calm and reassuring tone. Catty got into the car, feeling a rush of adrenaline. As the car drove away, she looked at Lucas through the window, feeling profound gratitude. "Thank you, Lucas, for everything." Lucas smiled, waving as the car disappeared into the night. "Good luck, Catty," he murmured, hoping she would find the happiness and freedom she deserved. The journey was long and tense, but Maria and Catty talked along the way, calming the young woman's nerves. Maria was a longtime friend of Lucas, used to helping people in desperate situations. Her confidence was contagious, and Catty began to feel that, for the first time, she was truly escaping. Finally, they arrived at a small, isolated house on the outskirts of the city. Maria explained that Catty could stay there for a few days while new documents and a new life plan were prepared. It was a temporary hideout, but a safe one. Catty entered the house, feeling a deep sense of relief knowing she was, at least for now, out of reach of Andrew and her family. She was free, but she knew the challenges were far from over. The fight for her freedom and independence was just beginning. In the following days, Catty adapted to life in the secluded house. Maria proved to be a compassionate host, helping her understand the next steps. Catty knew she couldn't stay there forever. She needed a more permanent plan to ensure her safety and freedom. Meanwhile, Andrew and Catty's family noticed her absence. The house was in an uproar, with phone calls and messages flying back and forth, trying to figure out where she could be. Andrew, especially, was furious. He wasn't used to being challenged, and the idea of Catty escaping was a direct affront. One afternoon, Maria received a call, and after hanging up, she looked at Catty with seriousness. "We have to act quickly. They're looking for you and might discover where we are." Catty felt panic rising, but Maria held her shoulders. "Don't worry, we have a plan. We're going to put it into action now." Lucas had organized a network of contacts willing to help. They needed to move Catty to an even safer location, where she could start a new life without fear of being found. Maria led Catty to a different car, one that couldn't be traced. As they traveled, Catty couldn't shake off the fear. Every passing car seemed like a threat. Every turn in the road seemed like a risk. When they finally arrived at a new hideout, a modest house in a small, quiet town, Maria explained the plan in more detail. "You're going to adopt a new identity. Lucas has secured new documents for you. You'll need to cut off contact with everyone you know, at least for now. It's a sacrifice, but it's the only way to ensure your safety." Catty nodded, determined to move forward. Maria helped her settle in, and soon, Catty was beginning to get used to the idea of a new beginning. But the tranquility didn't last long. The next night, while Catty and Maria were having dinner, they heard a noise outside. Maria looked out the window and saw two men, clearly searching for someone. Catty's heart raced. It was Andrew and one of his security guards. "They found us," Maria whispered urgently. We need to leave now. Catty and Maria slipped out the back door, running towards the nearby forest. Andrew's and his guard's footsteps echoed closer and closer. Catty felt fear paralyzing her, but adrenaline pushed her forward. They ran until they found a small cabin hidden among the trees. Maria pushed Catty inside and locked the door. "Stay here. I'll distract them." "No, Maria, you can't." "Trust me, Catty. You need to go." Catty hesitated, but knew there was no time to argue. Maria ran off, making noise intentionally to divert Andrew's attention. Catty stayed hidden in the cabin, her heart pounding like a drum, while the sounds of the chase gradually faded. After what felt like an eternity, the night fell silent again. Catty knew Maria had sacrificed her safety to ensure hers. Cautiously stepping out of the cabin, Catty began to walk through the forest, determined to find a new refuge. She was alone now, but more determined than ever to fight for her freedom. Catty walked through the forest until dawn, the first rays of sunlight bringing a sense of renewal and hope. She was exhausted, but the determination to keep going propelled her forward. She knew she couldn't go back, and each step took her further away from Andrew and her oppressive family. After hours of walking, she spotted a small village. It was a quiet place, away from prying eyes and Andrew's influence. As she entered the village, Catty was greeted by an elderly woman named Donna Clara, who immediately noticed Catty's fragile state and invited her into her home. "You look like you've been through a real ordeal, my dear. Come in and rest a bit," said Donna Clara with a kind tone. Catty accepted the invitation, feeling safe for the first time in days. Inside the modest house, Catty explained her situation, omitting specific details to protect herself and those who helped her. Donna Clara, a wise woman with many years of experience, understood enough to know that Catty needed a new beginning. "You can stay here while you recover. We have a small community and everyone helps each other. No one here will ask questions you don't want to answer," Donna Clara assured. In the days that followed, Catty began to integrate into village life. She adopted a new name, Anna, and helped Donna Clara with her daily tasks. The simplicity of life there and the warmth of the community began to heal the wounds the chase had left. In time, Catty learned that Lucas was safe and that Maria had successfully diverted Andrew. This brought immense relief, and she knew she could never forget their help. Their courage and sacrifice inspired her to be strong and move forward. Catty started working at a small local bakery run by a woman named Isabel, who soon became her close friend. The manual labor and routine helped restore her sense of normalcy and purpose. Isabel, noticing Catty's skill with finances, encouraged her to take on more responsibilities at the bakery. One day, while at the village market, Catty saw a familiar face. It was Lucas. He was there in disguise, but the same kindness shone in his eyes. "Catty, or should I say Anna?" he said with a smile. She ran to embrace him, feeling immense relief and joy. "Lucas, how did you find me?" "I knew you'd be okay, but I wanted to make sure, and I'm glad to see you found a safe place," he replied. They talked at length, Lucas recounting his life since the escape and assuring her that Andrew had finally given up searching for her. Catty knew the battle was far from over, but she felt she could face anything with the newfound strength she discovered within herself. Finally, Catty looked to the future with optimism. The village, with its welcoming community, had become her home. She had friends, a job she loved, and the certainty that, despite the challenges, she had managed to secure her freedom. With Lucas by her side and Maria's sacrifice always present in her heart, Catty knew she was ready for whatever life brought. Want to follow more emotional and inspiring stories like Catty's? Subscribe to our channel, leave a like, and turn on notifications so you don't miss any updates. Join us and be inspired by these incredible stories of love and suspense. See you in the next video.